All right. Hello, everybody. We're back again. Another episode. So today we're continuing with Lord of the Rings. So we talked about the Fellowship of the Ring. Now we're going to talk about the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, which is the second film, came out in 2002. And so we talked a lot about not only just like the film, but like what made into the making of the film of the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And so, the movie was very successful.
I think it was a home run. It seemed like it did pretty well for itself.
Yeah, I think they were very happy with how it did. And so because like basically what they did was like they shot everything simultaneously, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. And so, but what they would do is like right before a film was coming out, they would basically do reshoots to like sort of make pretty much like if there was anything that they needed to change or something, they did some reshoots. And so they were basically either continually shooting or continually editing everything. And yeah, I mean, again, once the movies started coming out consistently and people knew that they were all going to be very good and successful, like they quickly became extremely anticipated. And sort of like the must-watch December release of every year. So yeah, this film was like, and it was interesting too because like there can be sort of like the middle film can kind of sag a little bit sometimes. So it was like a lot of questions about like, what they're going to do. And of course, people speculated massively about, every nerd was like, oh, are they going to have this scene or this scene or this scene and blah, blah, blah,
I'm sure the forum boards were going crazy.
Yeah. So, do you remember watching this film for the first time? Any thought?
Yeah. Yeah, it was in theaters, and it was just as cool as the first one. I didn't really have a movie buff mind back then. I just knew that I liked watching fantasy movies, and my uncle took us to see... I want to say my uncle took us to see every one of them, because I know I saw all of them in theaters, and it was just like, hey, it's that time of year again. This will be the kids' Christmas present. Let's go and watch it, and it was great. It was just... I'm so glad I got to see the Lord of the Rings movies in a theater because it's just massive and the scope is just amazing and just blows your little 12-year-old mind.
Yeah, and in this one they expand a lot on what we knew, and it's kind of crazy. Like there's just so much in the Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah,
there is so much stuff.
Yeah, we've talked about like the fact that they even got these movies made is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Just based on how much is there to work with, it can be. It sounds incredibly daunting.
It's incredibly daunting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's super accurate. So, just to get into the plot now. So basically, this film it opens kind of interestingly. Like we see all these really nice shots of the mountains and the snow on top of them, and we kind of hear this like dialogue basically slowly sort of kind of getting louder and louder, and it's like,
oh, it's a recap.
Yeah, it's like something that happened in the first movie. It's like, oh, this
on Lord of the Rings.
Remember when Gandalf fought that giant Balrog?
Do I remember? I broke my little heart when I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so kind of like the camera goes all the way back into the mountain and we see him saying, "You shall not pass" again, and then the Balrog falls, the Balrog whips his leg, and then we see him fall again, but this time we see him fall and like he goes down and he like grabs his sword and he starts attacking this Balrog. And so basically we're seeing them fighting as they're plummeting in a free fall.
It's pretty great. Because in the Fellowship, you see Gandalf fall, and it kind of feels like he's given up. He's like, yeah, I can't crawl over the side. You can't come get me because like of X, Y, and Z and all of the other obstacles that are in your way. So it kind of gives this impression of like, yeah, I'm done. Have fun kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But then you see when you follow him down into the pit, it's just like oh, he's going down there to kick more ass. Like, he's not done. The fight isn't over just because he happens to fall off the ledge. Which is really cool. It was pretty great.
Yeah. We'll talk about sort of what the book says about these events with the Balrog later on when another character reappears. But yeah, it's an epic battle, and they kind of depict it in a really cool way because they're fighting, and he's like stabbing it in the face and in the chest, while it's trying to like smash him against the wall and stuff. And then we get this great shot where we see them plummeting, and like you see the opening in the gorge or whatever, and then the light from the fire.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and at the bottom is just some water, and then they crash into the water. And then it cuts to Frodo and Sam, who are out in the mountains trying to go to Mordor. And I guess Frodo was like sleeping or something, and then he had... I mean, it's an interesting kind of... Maybe he was just like, was that what really happened, or was that Frodo's dream of what the fight was like?
Open to interpretation. Yeah. It could just be fun editing, because that's a movie trope.
It is, yeah.
Like the scene's happening to one character, and then another wakes up from a nightmare. It's like, oh, were they?
Yeah.
Could they have known or something like that? But just fun editing.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, the two of them, they're out there and they're trying to get to Mordor, and yeah, I mean, this was never the plan.
No.
You know, the plan was never. Oh yeah, we'll have Frodo and Sam go by themselves.
No, the plan kind of went up shit creek a little bit.
And because of that, like they're in a bad situation, and so we see them doing some stuff, and basically the gist of it is they're lost. They keep going in circles. And
they're not outdoorsmen. They had outdoorsmen to help them with it, so it makes complete sense that these little hobbits get lost and they're just going in a circle. And
yeah.
Also, their environment all looks the same. Like, it's all very confusing, very creepy.
Yeah, it's very creepy. And then, they kind of start getting the feeling that they're being tracked by Gollum, who's been after the ring the whole time, even in the Fellowship of the Ring. Dude was like following them into Khazad-dûm. So this dude is like, he's just always tracking them and following them, and he's addicted, as we'll see. So then in the night, dude just like Gollum just basically crawls down a mountain and attacks him, and they get into this fight, and he's like trying to steal the ring from Frodo, but then Frodo like Gollum in this movie, because like in the first movie he's like kind of there. I think this movie is the first time they really do like the motion capture with him too.
I think they do too, because in the first movie, when you see just his eyes, when Gandalf's talking about how, like, Bilbo spared his life and maybe he has a more important part to play, he looks subtly different. It's not like too much because he's in shadow and he's kind of shrouded and everything like that, but the detail, like, it still looks great. Like, 20 something years later, it looks amazing. Like, they did a phenomenal job. Like, the technology has only gotten better. But that's when you get your first like real look at Gollum, and he's pretty creepy. He's a creepy little weirdo.
He's really creepy, and like, it's just. Ooh. I mean, you can tell, like, again, all this stuff to him. Like, he barely has any hair, he barely has any teeth. He talks really weird.
His limbs are abnormally long. Like, he's obviously emaciated. He has a creepy diet, which is probably making him look gray. Like, he's literally gray.
He's gray.
He's not pasty white or anything. He's a gray tone.
Yeah, he's a gray dude,
I would have liked his eyes to have been more sickly looking. I think his eyes are actually, just from like a nitpicky point of view, I think his eyes are a little too clear. But
these big like, anime eyes.
Yeah, he has this big anime, lead a battle angel eyes.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I think it would have been cool to have him maybe a little more sickly looking, like a little yellow or something, even bloodshot. But I mean, maybe they tried it and it didn't look good on camera. But yeah, Gollum's creepy, and the way he crawls around he kind of defies gravity in some ways too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, there's a shot where he like crawls up the wall and then jumps on Frodo.
He's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
His fingers are probably super callous from just crawling on rock and stone. Ugh.
Yeah, he's kind of like he's become an animal. like a different animal, you know,
Yeah.
like all the things that have affected him. Like he's super old because he had the ring and it gave him, as I said, unnatural long life. And then because he was always by himself, he has this personality disorder. Plus the ring, as we'll see, kind of creates something in your behavior. So he's all messed up. Like he's
he's pretty messed up.
So yeah, so they kind of fight him off, and like he headbutts Sam, and I think he bites him. Like Gollum like bites him. It's like really bad. But then Frodo like pulls Sting on him, and then he's like, "You've seen this before, haven't you?" He's like, and he starts just like crying or whatever. It's kind of like,
awesome.
Yeah. And so yeah, so Sam like totally, you know, probably rightfully in a lot of ways, just totally hates.
He's pretty against.
Like he hates him. He's like, dude, we gotta just leave him. But then Frodo has some pity for him, and he's like, he won't kill him. And then he asks him like, hey, can you take us to Mordor? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. And he's like, you will lead us to the Black Gate. And so they let him go, and he like goes on this weird rant where he just like screams at them at the end. Is like
he does a lot of that. I feel like he gets a couple good screams in.
Yeah, he does it, and it's also that other personality that's the one that does that weird behavior.
Yeah.
Too. It's not Smeagol. It's the other guy, whatever
Gollum.
that other guy's name is.
I think it's just Gollum.
Yeah.
Gollum and Smeagol's pretty submissive.
Yeah, Smeagol's like
he's a pleaser.
Okay, yeah. So meanwhile, Merry and Pippin, they've been taken by the Uruk-hai, and so they're being sort of taken with them somewhere to wherever they're going to deliver them, because they think that they have the ring. But then no one confirms that. But you know, whatever.
The Uruk-hai kind of got a one-track mind. They're like, hey, but they said a hobbit has the ring, so we're just gonna grab all the hobbits we can.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, they're doing their job, and they're just like basically on a sprinting back to Isengard. So we get an interesting scene where like they talk to some, I guess, orcs or goblins or whatever, and again you can see that there's some conflict there, and the orcs are like, "Oh, you guys are late, blah blah blah," and he's like, you know, basically the Uruk-hai dude's like, "Go to hell! Like we're taking him to Isengard, and we're gonna get there. We have what we've been sent to do." So I think, yeah, it's like Pippin sees that Merry's kind of messed up, and he's like, "Hey, can you give my friends some water?" And I don't know what this stuff was that they fed him with. That shit is so gross. Like it.
I think they called it grog or something.
Yeah.
Like it's nasty. I don't want to.
It's like this black liquid, like
this goo. I don't know what it is. I don't think. I don't think Merry enjoyed it. Or
yeah, no, that wasn't a good second breakfast. That was not it. But he's alive. He was alive.
He's alive. He's a little banged up, but he's okay.
Yeah, and then Pippin like he takes the little leaf from his cloak of invisibility or whatever, and he like drops it so that they can know where they're at. One of the Uruk-hai is like, "Oh, I smell man flesh," and so we have to hurry up, and so they start running faster. We then see the trio, Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, are like, they're running basically in the open field, and like Legolas is like, no, it's like Aragorn, he's like listening to the ground. It's like, oh, they picked up their speed. We have to go run faster, and they're just running and running.
So fucking cool. He's just listening to the ground, like, oh,
yeah, he's listening to the ground. Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't become a ranger without having to listen to a few stones or something.
I guess
so. Yeah, they then we get this montage of them just running through a bunch of fields. Gimli is like the furthest behind, and he's just like, yeah, he's tired.
He's like, yeah, I'm done. Can we stop at some point? Like, I need some salted pork. I need some meat. I need some ale. Is there a service station anywhere nearby?
Yeah. So they pass through Rohan, which is the realm of the horse lords. And then we get this cool musical sort of
like the violin
motif.
or the fiddle, like to
Dun, dun,
signify.
dun,
That's what I love
dun,
is that
dun, dun.
each
Yeah.
like realm or kingdom has its own little like theme. And
Yeah,
that's
the
like
motifs.
Rohan's.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. Rohan's is my favorite. It's
We
so
also
good.
see like a motif, an elf motif later on too.
We do?
Yeah, when some elves show up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So so in Isengard, Saruman, we get this really cool like sort of. It's almost like, okay, what's going on between these two characters? Saruman like opens the Palantir, Sauron, and he's like saying, "Oh, these two towers, we will rule Middle Earth, the dark with you and me, the Dark Lord." And we just see them. They're continuing to at Isengard industrialize, and so there was a bunch of forests around there. They've cut it all down. They've cut out everything, and one of the I guess one of the foremen or whatever, one of these orcs who's like working these like iron mills is like, oh, there's not enough trees or whatever. There's not enough fire. Like, he's like, oh yeah, we'll cut down that other forest. Just keep going, keep cutting down forest.
It's so easy for Saruman. Yeah. He's just like, he's so far gone that he's just like, okay, we'll take those talking trees.
Yeah,
exactly. These sentient beings that he used to just like frolic with and shit when he was like a young wizard or whatever. He's just like, yeah, go kill him.
Or his neighbors.
Yeah, his neighbors. Yeah, go burn down my neighbors. It's just like...
Yeah, take my neighbors, like kill them, and then use them to make fire for fuel for the ironworks.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we get all these cool montages of them, they're making weapons. They're making all this stuff for this Uruk-hai army. He's also recruiting these rabble. Like, so basically, I'm not sure exactly who these people are or where they're from, but like basically they don't like people from Rohan, and so they're just like happy to join on Saruman's side and like start invading and killing people. I think in this scene was with the dude who's like pledges loyalty and does like a blood oath. I think that happens here. I forget.
I think it does too. It's kind of like a montage. Yeah. I feel like he's just like, I feel like Saruman is just kind of like stirring the pot of like anyone who's had any kind of beef with Rohan who may have gotten their ass kicked by them at some point. He's just like, just go and like burn their families and shit.
Just go and kill them.
Yeah.
Go and kill them.
He's just stirring the shit pot.
He's stirring the shit pot. And they get sent off, and so then we see this sort of mother sending off her kids to safety in this village that's under attack, and we see the goblins and stuff burning and pillaging and raiding. And so she sends her son and her daughter off to go and basically warn people what's happening. And then we hear Saruman say, "Rohan is ready to fall."
Yeah, it's all part of the bigger plan,
Yep. Yeah, they're trying to destroy mankind. Yeah. And this is part 1 of their plan. Part 2 of their plan is another invasion. So then we see the king's son, Theodred, and so he's fighting orcs in this orc ambush, and then he gets mortally wounded. So then we see what is this? The Rohan main sort of kingdom or whatever. And then we see Wormtongue, this dude like who just like looks like creepy and evil from the jump.
He's not pale. He's fucking gray. Anybody except Gandalf the Grey. If your skin has turned gray, you're pretty much evil at this point.
Yeah.
But he's also got almost like a greenish hue to him, so he looks sickly. He's just
he looks really sick. Yeah, he's a gross looking dude. And also his name's Wormtongue.
Exactly. It's kind of like that Harry Potter trope that if you have a sinister sounding name, you're obviously evil.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just cursed with having a name like Snape. You know what I mean? It's probably gonna be a bad guy.
Voldemort. Oh yeah, that's a nice guy. This guy Voldemort guy.
Well, he in fairness to Voldemort, he did pick his own name. He did name himself, but it's still Voldemort.
It's Voldemort. Yeah. And so basically, they're like a bunch of people saying like they're begging the king, "Hey, your son was like wounded and we're being attacked, and we need to do something." But the king is like, he's like old and gray looking, and he's just like kind of, he's under an enchantment, as we'll find out later. But he's not really receptive.
Nah, he's not doing so hot.
He's not doing anything.
Not doing.
And they're like begging him, like, "Hey, can you like do something? Can we fight them back or something? We're being attacked." And Wormtongue's like, "Oh, Saruman the White has only been our friend and ally."
Is he though?
Yeah, is he right now?
Especially when Eomore's just like, they carry the white hand, like, dude, like, look, like, that's your friend, that's our ally.
That's the thing too. Like, they think that's their symbol, is the white hand of Saruman. Yeah. Like, they work directly for him, and that's who they're being attacked by.
And Wormtongue's like, could be another guy with another white hand. We don't know.
Yeah, it could be like
fake news.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what he's saying. Like that's exactly what he's saying. He's just gaslighting people as much as he can.
No, and it does. I feel like I don't remember what the dialogue is exactly, but I feel like Wormtongue kind of tries blaming Eomore for it. Like he's kind of trying to, like,
he calls him a warmonger.
Yeah, he calls him a warmonger, and I think he calls him a coward or something akin to that. And it's just like, it's like, dude, I'm out there doing the damn job. Also, Karl Urban is just fantastic and should be in every franchise in some way.
Yeah, this blonde guy. Yeah, it's great. What will you get from this treachery? And then he looks over at Éowyn. I know, it's too long have you watched my sister, too long have you haunted her steps. And then he's like, "Oh well, the king banished you. It wasn't me. It wasn't that I want to get rid of you so I can like try and creepily marry your sister."
Oh, by the way, the king canceled you. He blocked you on all social media.
You have been canceled by the king. And here's a signature. It's this little like,
I was gonna say, like,
scratch mark.
Such a soap opera moment. It feels like something that would be on like Dynasty. Oh, and he's signed the papers.
Yeah.
And he's just
and they took him away.
Yeah, and they kick out Eomore.
They black bag him, and it's like, don't they put him to death?
I think it's banishment, but if he comes back, like if he was going to try and come back and get Éowyn, he would be like sentenced to death or some shit like that.
I mean, it's not good. It's not
good. I mean, like, I'm surprised. Again, it's one of those moments where villains should have done A, but they did B instead. They should have just killed Éomore because he's going to be a problem for them later, but whatever. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So the Uruk-hai and the orcs, they stop for the night, and the orcs are hungry, and they're like, "Hey, why don't we eat these hobbits?"
We haven't had none of a moldy bread for 3 stinking days.
Yeah,
I love them. They got the greatest lines.
What's funny too is like they all have these either Australian or New Zealand accents.
It's great.
Which is great. It's really funny. Like, you don't really think about it, but it's like...
But can you really picture an orc with an American accent? Like, I mean, like a Matthew McConaughey accent. Like, I
think that would have been funny, but yeah, I like it the way it turned out.
Same.
But it's just like, you don't go in expecting that.
No.
That's what we get. And then one of the orcs is like, "Hey, why don't we eat their legs?" And it's
they
like,
don't need them.
They don't need them.
Like, his logic is sound. They don't technically need them.
Yeah. This causes a fight, and then this dude gets his head chopped off, and we get one of the great lines of the trilogy. "Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys."
Oh, it's so great because it's so ripping him apart. Gross.
Yeah, because they're ripping him apart.
They just start ripping him apart, and it's just like, it's so nasty. But it's a great line.
Yeah, it's great. And then Merry and Pippin are trying to escape.
Like,
yeah, man, flesh.
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
And so we basically see Merry and Pippin. Like, there's this one orc who's like hella thirsty for them, and he's like,
nasty. I don't know. I think he has really ill intentions towards our Hobbit friends, and
yeah, he's a gross one. Like, they did a really good job with these, like the way that they made him look.
Oh yeah, they're so frightening. Like the point when he follows them into the forest and he's like crawling towards them. Ugh.
Yeah, Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, yeah. And then does he? I forget if it's the scene or later he says, "Yeah, you can scream, but like no one's gonna come for you."
Ugh.
Yeah, it's like, nah, dude. Like,
It's gnarly. It's pretty awful.
yeah. So our trio, they they're continuing to jog and run, and then they say, "Oh, there was a fire, so something must have happened." Because like one of the last things we see is like after they're eating and all that stuff, like the orcs and the Urukai get attacked by somebody. So basically, some Rohan people attack them and jump them basically, and just like they start killing everybody. And so pretty much they can tell that there was a battle the night before. They're confronted by some Rohirrim. They get surrounded, and basically they're like the Rohirrim people like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" They're like, "Oh, well, we're just trying to find our friends who were two hobbits. They look like children." And basically Éomer or whatever, he gives them the rundowns like, yeah, so Saruman has poisoned the king's mind and taken him over. We've been banished for being loyal, and so we're just trying to like protect our land, but we're banished. So yeah, things are bad. And oh yeah, by the way, there's this white wizard around somewhere who's doing stuff to people. So yeah, it's all bad.
It's all bad, and we're rebels, and
Yeah, we're rebels.
We haven't showered in 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're just going around killing orcs and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I like that Eeyore just doesn't like go off and he doesn't just go and lay down and die or something like that. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep doing my job. I don't care if I'm banished, because I'm still loyal to Rohan. And
yeah,
like that's pretty cool. That's pretty honorable.
Yeah. And so they ask them, like, did you see any hobbits? And they're like, no, we didn't, but we killed everybody and we burnt their bodies. So they go over to the side of the battle and they just see a bunch of charred bodies. And they find some kind of like, I don't know if they had like, it was like the sheath belt for their dagger. Yeah, belt or something. In the fire.
It was one of their wee belts. And the way he says it is just so...
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah. And so they think that they're dead, and like Legolas starts praying and stuff, and it's like, ooh. So, but then Aragorn notices like, basically like, oh, they two hobbits laid here, and then it's like,
aside this shit. That's what he did.
What? Yeah, exactly.
He Gil Grissomed this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he sees like, oh, they escaped into Fangren Forest. And like, oh, what would make them do that? And then we get this sort of flashback where we see them running and like crawling away, and then the orc dude comes after them, and then a tree kills him. Like a sentient tree steps on the orc dude.
He gets squished.
Yeah, he gets squished, and the ent like takes both of the hobbits and is like, oh, you guys are little tiny goblins. Like, no, we're not orcs. It's like the tree's talking. He's like, I'm no tree, I'm an ent. My name is Treebeard. And then he's like, it's like, I think they asked him like, oh, whose side are you on? I was like, I am on nobody's side because nobody's on my side. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna take you to I'll take you to the White Wizard. He'll know what to do. And then they go off.
And they automatically assume it's Saruman because obviously you would.
Yeah, I mean, he is the White Wizard in this time.
I have a question though. Do you think Saruman ever started as anything other than the White Wizard? Because it seems like it has to be based on what we find out later that it's some kind of evolution. So I wonder if he ever started as something other than the White Wizard, or he was always Saruman the White. That could be it.
Well, it's an interesting question because I suspect so. Like, again, they don't really get into this, but these beings are more like angels than they are like. Yeah, I mean that's probably the most accurate thing. So like their human form is something that is a form of something that has existed basically since the universe began, and so they like when you get way into it, like basically what the beginning of time is like. God creates the universe with the angels, and the angels sing a song to create the universe. Like that's literally how
And Morgoth was like pissy about it, so he's like, "I'm gonna corrupt shit," and then he corrupted shit, and everybody didn't have a good time.
Yeah. And so then at some point, the god who created this universe casts these things down to Earth in human form. So basically, long story short, I'm sure that when Saruman took his human form, he was always Saruman the White.
Okay.
Is what I suspect. Because we'll find out later that when someone else becomes the White, they're actually sort of a new incarnation, but of a similar thing.
That's true.
So, yeah, I think he was probably always Saruman the White. I'm not even sure. I wonder how long, because like Gandalf talks about like how long he's been on Earth. I kind of wonder how long Saruman's been on Earth.
Yeah, I wonder if they all arrived at the same time. I can't really remember, or if they all came at different points when they were needed. Because the wizards seem to be there to help at certain times, at certain junctions, really important junctions and change. So, yeah, I wonder if they all came at separate times or yeah, that's the thing. You could spend an entire video, because I know people have, on just each wizard or each section or everything. It's just so broad. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we pick up with Gollum. He's leading them through the mountains. They get out of the mountain, and hey, they find themselves in a swamp marsh.
Yay!
This really creepy place. Middle Earth has a lot of creepy ass places.
It's like no man's land.
Frodo tries to. It's like Gollum's like really hungry, and there's no fish or whatever in this place. And so Frodo tries to feed him, and then he eats some of the bread, and he he has this really funny. He's like, yeah, it's like he's really gross. Like he can't even eat human food anymore.
No, he can't. It's like his body won't process it.
Yeah, it won't. And so then Gollum is sort of he basically saying oh, I understand what it's like to have the ring. I understand what that feels like. He's like, oh, Master knows once it takes hold of us, it never lets go. But then he starts grabbing for the ring or whatever. He's like, get the hell away from me. So these are also called the Dead Marshes. And so there are these bodies in the water from this ancient battle of, was it Daggerland? Something like that. And so there's these elves and humans just in the water. Their bodies have been preserved.
Which happens in bogs, not like this, but bog bodies are a thing. I actually learned a lot about bog bodies.
Oh my god.
It's really fucked up.
That is horrible.
It's interesting though. I mean, it's very interesting, but they do not get preserved quite maybe in a fantasy bog they get preserved. But it is it's very awful, especially when you juxtapose that with Tolkien's own experiences in the trenches in France. Just bodies staring at you is oh man.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty messed up, and
it's really messed up.
The imagery is very powerful. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah, because it's
just eerie too.
It's really
almost
eerie.
Not like a siren, but it's very oh, are they gonna move? Are they gonna do something?
Yeah, are they actually dead?
Yeah, because I know this is gross, but again, like a bog body in real life, it looks like they're just gonna open their eyes at any point. It's so eerie. Ugh. But yeah, it's a creepy place. Follow it.
Yeah, Frodo. Don't follow the light. Yeah, Frodo just starts staring at some elf dude, and then he falls into the water. And when he falls in the water, there's almost this spirit, kind of weird. It's really scary. It's really creepy. But Gollum saves.
This are really good.
Yeah, they are. They're cool. It's almost like this guy who directed this movie did a lot of horror movies or something.
Yeah, it's almost like he knows what he's doing with ghosts or some shit. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And so then at night they hear the Nazgul for the first time, and so they find these things called fell beasts. Oh, and we have so the fell beasts. This is an interesting sort of how they came to use the fell beasts. So at first they rode those horses, and so the horses were descended from stolen horses from Rohan, and so they used those, and then when they had that encounter at it's called the Ford of Brurian or the Ford of Rivendell, that little creek or whatever where the water. So after they got hit with the water, they lost their horses, that were killed in the flood, and they had to return to Mordor on foot.
Imagine walking back. You're just like, imagine that conversation that they had. Like, he's gonna be so mad that we lost those horses.
Yeah.
Like, those are Rohirrim horses, guys. Those are like the best horses. And he's gonna be so mad that we lost them.
Yeah, it's
like a little cartoon of that.
Like, bro, I told you we shouldn't have gone in the water. He's like, dude, shut up, man. It was like, how was I gonna know?
It's like, how was I supposed to know she knew magic? She's an elf, of course she knows magic. Yeah. This is your fault. I'm gonna tell him it's your fault. Like, no, we all did it. We all went in the water.
Yeah, that's really funny. And so obviously they're pretty pissed off.
Yeah,
right? Like, they're pretty pissed off. But instead they get these freaking wraiths to fly around in. Like, yeah, like hey, you know, like basically they told,
you can't be trusted with land animals.
Yeah. They told Dark Lord Sauron, like, okay, so like we lost the horses because this big wave hit us. Like, we had no idea. So like, can we get something? Can we get more horses? And he's like, no, I'm gonna give you these things that fly. Okay, so then you're not gonna go into the water and get hit by a wave.
Wait, we get an upgrade? We fucked up and we get an upgrade? Cool.
And yeah, we're gonna see the fell beasts a lot later.
They're pretty good. They're pretty intimidating. Like, and the screeching noise that they make is awful, and it's just ugh. And they can cover way more ground. They don't have to stay together. They can just like fly around and be fucking pestilent little shits. Yeah.
I looked this up the other day. I think we talked about it a little bit, but yeah, it was like the way they created the sound is like I forget, but it's something. It's like Peter Jackson's wife made part of the sound. Yeah. They had her do some like high pitched screeching. And that's how they created this Nazgul sound.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the trio heads further into the forest looking for the hobbits, and then they're like, oh, something's following us, and Legolas like, the White Wizard approaches.
It's like, just on the eyes.
Yeah, he's like, and so then he's like, we have to like attack him quickly, or else he's gonna put a spell on us, and he's gonna stop us. And so they turn around, they shoot an arrow, and they throw some swords or whatever. He stops all of it. The attack is rendered inert, and then we hear this voice. The voice sounds like Saruman. Then it's sort of like.
Yeah. Like, I didn't remember that when I was younger watching it, but upon rewatching it, I'm like, that sounds like it's both. It's Christopher Lee's voice and Ian McKellen's overlapping one another, which is why I was wondering, like, is there some sort of White Wizard evolution power up or something? But like, whatever the reason, whatever the cause, maybe it's because they're all interconnected or some shit because they're all cut from the same cloth. But no, it's pretty cool. And he just completely overwhelms them immediately.
Oh yeah.
Like,
They have like he makes he does something to Aragorn's sword where it's like he gets heated up, and so he has to drop it.
Super heated, and he's like
yeah. So yeah, they stand no chance. And yeah, and then we see there's Gandalf. Like, oh my god, it's Gandalf. I am Saruman as he should have been. Yeah, which is really cool. And so yeah, he's so then he like recalls the story of fighting the Balrog, and you know, he says, from the lowest dungeon to the highest peak I fought the Balrog of Morgoth, until at last I threw down my enemy and smote his ruin upon the mountainside.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
darkness took me. Someone to ruin on the mountainside.
Yeah. I strayed out of thought and time. The stars wheeled overhead, and every day was like a life, as long as the life age of the earth. But it was not the end. I felt life again. I've been sent back until my task is done, which is very cool.
That's pretty awesome.
So, yeah. So in the book, they talk about this this battle with the Balrog. So do you have any, like, how long do you think it took for him to defeat the Balrog?
I think didn't it take like 40 days and 40 nights or some shit? It was like something really intense. It was literally like months or something like that.
So
fighting it.
Yeah, it took 10 days straight, So 8 of those days, basically, the Balrog was running. Okay, for 8 days, Gandalf pursued the Balrog, and it ran. It just ran the whole time.
Badass.
And then it got to the point where it was on that peak, the mountain peak. It's like Zerkazagel or something.
Has a fucking name.
Zerkaziggle? Yeah. where it was cornered, so it was forced to fight. They then fought for 2 days. So he chased them through the mines of Moria into the mountain peak for 8 days, and then for 2 more days they fought to the death. And then Gandalf defeated him and cast him down, and that was it.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Yeah. And then he got a power upgrade. It's like, that was really impressive. So now you have leveled up.
15.
Yeah. You are now a level 100 mage. You may restart the game. So then he's like, we must travel to Edoras at fast speed. And then they're like, oh, what about Merry and Pippin? Like, oh, I sent them off. They're going to be fine. The coming of Merry and Pippin will be like the falling of a small stone that causes an avalanche in the mountains. And Aragorn's like, oh, one thing hasn't changed. You still speak in riddles. Yeah, and then he like, because like they say to him like, oh, you're Gandalf. And he's like, Gandalf? Oh yeah, they used to call me Gandalf the Grey. But now I'm Gandalf the White.
In case you couldn't tell by my white robes what my new identity is.
But it's interesting too, because like they're kind of implying that like he's a totally different guy. Like our Gandalf the Grey guy, like he's dead. He's gone. Like he kind of knows who he was and he knows about what he did, but he's not the same person.
Yeah, especially since Gandalf, when he's Gandalf the Grey, he does seem a little more fun. A little more jovial at times. Like he's the fireworks guy. Like that's what he does. Like he's, I can't really picture Gandalf the White doing the fireworks thing.
No. I don't know if he would do that.
Short-tempered too. He's like, I don't have time for bullshit. Like
Gandalf
the White is like, I'm on a mission from God, literally, and y'all are in my way. Like, yeah, like you're like, I feel like Gandalf the Grey would try to parlay more, and Gandalf the White is like, I don't have time for that shit. Yeah.
I mean, things have definitely gotten a lot worse, so it makes sense that Gandalf the White would be like, okay, dude, I got to do this and this and this and this while I'm here, or else the world's gonna end.
You're on a time crunch. Like all the eventually when we get to it, all the shit with Denethor, he's what am I trying? He goes behind Denethor's back so many times because he's just like, I don't have time for this.
Well, yeah. He kind of has to.
Denethor's a dick anyway, so.
Yeah, Denethor is a piece of shit. I
saw something interesting the other day, not to get too sidetracked, but why did Gandalf the White help Theoden but not Denethor? And I think someone just wrote because he was a dick.
Yeah, well, I mean, they like their side of this whole battle, they have a plan.
Yeah.
And the plan is, protect Rohan and install Aragorn as king of Gondor. Mm-hmm. And then those two will fight the final battle. That's what they want to do. And so the Steward of Gondor is just a dude who is kind of a problem.
He's kind of a dick. Yeah, he's kind of in the way.
He's in the way, and he's going to go away one way or another.
One way or another, Denethor, you're taking a dive.
You're a steward for a reason. You get the small chair. Okay? You don't get the big chair.
You don't get... This is the big chair, and this is the small chair. This is the adult table. This is the kids' table.
Yeah. You stay at the kids' table, okay?
Here's your hooked on phonics. Now get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah. I need to save the world, so shut the fuck up and go away.
Oh, and just like, steward. It's such a
steward.
Steward. It's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you get so mad about it. Like, dude, you're.
It's what your family was assigned to do. This was the assignment.
Yes, we made that little chair for you. Because you needed somewhere to sit to look all with authority, but you're on the small chair, okay?
Yeah.
Your chair has no stairs.
No,
all right.
Your chair doesn't have stairs.
Yeah.
Dennis. I'm just gonna start calling him Dennis.
Yeah. So Gandalf then summons Shadowfax, the Lord of all horses.
The literal horse lord. We have a horse lord.
He whistles.
We got a horse lord though.
Yeah, there's a horse lord.
Shadowfax. And that literally literally that shot. Can you imagine being the trainer just standing behind Ian McKellen?
Yeah.
He's like, I need you to stand perfectly still while this giant horse comes galloping at you. Which I'm sure Ian McKellen was like, yeah, no problem. But like that whole like tracking shot of it, not tracking shot, but the whole shot of Shadowfax just appearing in the field.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, he's a white horse.
That's a gorgeous horse. Like, that's,
yeah.
Like, I feel like Peter Jackson's like, I need the most photogenic horse that has ever lived.
Yeah.
And Secretariat's dead, so I need the next best thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And here comes Shadowfax.
Oh yeah, gorgeous.
And they all ride together. It's really cool. So then we get this kind of a scene. I think it's only in the extended edition where Merry and Pippin are traveling with Treebeard, and Treebeard just like keeps talking and talking and talking in this monotone.
There's a lot of Treebeard in the extended edition. And he does do a lot of talking. It's admittedly it is not my favorite part of the extended edition. I think what we get in the theatrical version of Treebeard is honestly enough. Because like Merry and Pippin start falling asleep at one point.
They fall asleep.
That should tell you something, and maybe that's the joke.
Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah.
But it's also like this thing of like, okay, if trees are living sentient things, then they would have a lot to talk about. They've seen a lot of shit.
Seen a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, basically Treebeard's gonna take them to this end sort of council or whatever, where they're going to be sort of judged, like, are you goblins or not? So Gandalf is like, so the three of them are like, or the four of them are like, they're somewhere and they're basically like they're almost to where they're trying to get to, but they're staying somewhere for the night, and so they have a little campfire, and Gandalf's like explaining the situation to Aragorn. And he's like, you know, they're attacking Rohan with Saruman's army, and they're also attacking Minas Tirith with this other army, and that's basically their plan. But like, what they're afraid of is they're afraid of Aragorn. They're afraid of you uniting all of mankind to fight them back, and so they're going to attack Rohan while Rohan is weak. But what they don't expect is that these hobbits have the ring, and they're trying to destroy it. And so that's our advantage. So then we see Frodo and Sam. So they get to the Black Gate. So, you know, despite all the weirdness with Gollum, like, he got them there. He got them delivered to what? Yeah, he did. He did deliver. Oh yeah, wasn't there also like at this point, like, basically he pledged himself to Frodo, like
he pledged his loyalty or something like that to him, and Sam was just like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
It was funny. At one point, I think Ryan even asked, like, why is Sam so mean to him?
Oh, dude.
Like, he has a reason to be mean to him.
Yeah, but Sam really fucking hates him. He hates him so much.
Yeah, but he also doesn't get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He doesn't get it. He's not the ring bearer. He doesn't understand that the reason why Frodo also has that, you know, little speech that Gandalf gave to him in his head. You know, one of the last conversations that he ever had with Gandalf. Yeah. Gollum has a bigger part to play, and don't be so quick to deal out death. Like, you might actually really regret it. It's not easy. And so Sam doesn't have that. He doesn't have that little Jiminy Cricket thing being like, you know, he has a bigger part to play or something like that. Plus, I think Frodo really wanted to save Gollum, because it meant that there would have been, if something had happened to him when he went off the deep end, maybe there was a way he could be pulled back. He could be pulled back from the brink. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. So like, Sam has his reasons, but he also just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
Because Frodo sees like Gollum, that's his future. I mean, isn't he, like, we'll find out that he's a hobbit too? I think. Yeah,
he's another species of hobbit similar to them, probably that predates the hobbits that Frodo is. Yeah, you know.
But he's a halfling.
Yeah, he's a halfling.
And so like that's you, dude. Like,
yeah, that's my future, and yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think basically Sam just sees like, oh, dude, this guy, he's gonna kill us.
It's
he's
very
going
black
to
and white.
try to
Yeah,
kill us.
it's very black and white with Sam. He even calls him a villain. He doesn't call him. He's like,
Yeah, he calls him a villain.
Like, he's a villain. He's the bad guy in the story that we read about.
Yes.
But it's not so black and white.
And we're following him into places we don't understand.
Like, we're following the bad guy, everybody. Like,
yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that he would be worried, because it's like, dude, we don't know where we are. We don't know our way around. We're following this obviously drug-addicted crackhead, and you think he's not going to take us somewhere where we're going to get killed, and he wants your ring?
Yeah, he's not going to sell us down the river, like, the second he gets
the second he can, yeah.
Like, because all the orcs are going to see are 2 tasty snacks, and as soon as they're done picking your bones, he's just going to take the ring.
Yeah, he's going to take the ring.
That's all he's going to do. Like, that's how easy it is for Gollum. Gollum doesn't have to physically kill them.
No, he doesn't.
All he has to do is put him in the path of somebody else.
Yeah,
that is creepy. That almost makes it worse.
Yeah, I mean, and he just bides his time.
Mm-hmm. He's just gonna buy his time. Gollum is pretty. He can be pretty patient when he wants to be.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, he spent 500 years in a freaking cave just eating fish and goblins.
Mm-hmm.
He'll do anything to get the ring. Yeah. So they're up there. They're on this little cliff, and they're like, okay, like, we got to go for it. But like, there's an army going into the gate. And so basically, they have a very short window to go in. So they're like, okay, we got to go. And Gollum's like, no, don't go. You're gonna get caught. Like, I know another way. There's another way. He's like, what? There's another way? When did you tell us that? Like, well, you didn't ask. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How could be?
Okay, Jar Jar fucking Binks over here. Like, oh, you didn't ask.
Yeah. And so while they're talking, like, Sam's on this little, like, kind of, I don't know what you would call it. It's like another little cliff face or something. Like a rock.
It's just a rock.
Jutting
He's
out.
Literally just sitting on a rock.
He's sitting on a rock. And then the rock falls. It's like, oh, shit. So Frodo runs to him and he tries to, like, hide him or something. And then these 2 soldiers come out and they're like looking and they don't see anything, so they just go away. And we see that Frodo uses like his invisibility cloak, and the cloak made him look like a rock.
It's like, it's not. I don't think it's so much invisibility. I think it probably is just like a camouflage of some kind, where it'll maybe take on the appearance of whatever the terrain is.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the cloaks look greener than they actually are, and then sometimes they're dirtier looking, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it might just be some kind of like glamour cloak. Yeah. Glamour cloak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's got some kind of Elvis enchantment, and I really like that scene where they're under the rock thing,
mm-hmm.
because when they open up the cloak or whatever, it's like it's really cool because you can see like the trick of what they did. It's very cool.
It's really, really good. Plus, I feel like the movies do a really good job of reminding you how small the hobbits are.
Yeah.
If these were fully grown men, they would have been seen. But because like in the scene when the Rohirrim soldiers are killing the orcs, and you see Merry and Pippin run underneath a horse, and they don't even have to like lower their head that much. The movies do a very good job of reinforcing these are tiny. These are literally like the size of 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
And like, it's a big deal. No pun intended. But I think the movies do such a good job of like reminding, because we spend so much time with them, not seeing them being so small.
Yes.
That I think it's good for the audience to just have that little reminder of, no, these are tiny.
I mean, they're like children.
They're literally like 3 or 4-year-olds. They're tiny.
They're super tiny.
You see like Aragorn lifting up their body doubles, and their little feet are just like swinging. It's adorable.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny. Yeah, because like, it's a great point. They are like children sized. They are
mm-hmm.
very tiny.
Yep. They're
very tiny. And so then basically, like, they decide, or Frodo decides, okay, I'll trust Gollum, and we'll follow him. We're gonna follow him to. He's like, oh, there's like a stair and a tunnel, and like all this shit. It's so weird. He's just like making shit up, like, and then there's a forest, and then there's a canoe, and it takes us there. Yeah.
There's dirt. You're just describing the earth.
Yeah, and that's what Sam is saying, and Frodo's like, no, I trust him.
Sam's like, you're literally just describing describing a beach, Colin.
Yeah.
There's sand and water. Like, that's what
There ain't no beaches in Mordor.
And there's this moment too when like he's trying to convince there's a staircase. He's just like the way Andy Serkis plays him, he's just like grabbing on to like his coat, and he's very touchy feely.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, Andy Serkis is just so freaking
Oh my god, yeah.
The man has spent most of his career and most of his roles on all fours, and that is to be commended. I hope his back is okay, honestly. Like,
I mean, so he played King Kong, he played Caesar.
Yep.
He's a Gollum.
And the thing is, even when he's playing Caesar, when a chimp walks upright, it's very unusual because that's not how their hips are supposed to lay. So even then, he has to jut out his pelvis to appear like an ape walking upright. That's got to be painful after how many hours of like filming and rehearsing, and just give this man an Oscar.
Yeah. No, they should have a category named after him.
They should. They should have the Andy Serkis Award, Academy Award, or something like
that.
The
Andy Serkis Award for motion capture performance goes to, like that's literally what it is.
That's only becoming more and more. Sorry, I go on this tangent every time we talk about Andy Serkis, but it's so important because it's still acting. It's some of the hardest acting you have to do. There's this one horror movie called Mama. Absolutely hated it. It wasn't very good. But the man that they had to play the ghost character Mama was outstanding. He was terrifying. And he was able to contort his body in all of these different ways. And I'm like, that's Oscar worthy to me. Like, that's still acting. That's still as committed as anybody else. And it's just, it's such a fucking shame that they're always snubbed. They're always snubbed.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately for him, his career is like really great.
Oh yeah,
like he's directing and stuff. Yeah. So he's doing pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he should have won multiple Oscars. I mean, the fact that like when we get to the Return of the King, the fact that there were like no nominations even for acting.
There weren't. No.
It's like insane to me.
Every other category got a nomination.
It's insane to me because, like, especially with like Sean Astin, like, how the fuck was he not nominated?
Sean Astin was a best supporting actor at least.
Like, it was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. His performance is just, again, it's those if it's not drama, if it's not comedy, if it's not a dark comedy, if it's not any other category gets a nominate, or any other genre gets a nomination. But if it's fantasy or if it's horror, and I'll even throw action in there a little bit too. Mm-hmm. Completely snubbed.
Yeah. So, then we get another scene that's like only the extended edition, where it's like Merry and Pippin, they like wake up and they're drinking this water. It's making Pippin taller, and then Merry starts drinking it, and they're just messing around. It's very goofy. It's very goofy.
It's a goofy scene. Sorry, I keep moving my computer around because my dog keeps changing position.
Yeah, it's all good. Sorry. Yeah. It's very silly.
It's very silly. If you don't see the extended edition, this is a scene that will probably just be there. It's just not. I think it's just there to add a little levity to the fact that the movie's very heavy sometimes.
Yeah, it's fun, and they're silly. They're always super silly.
Oh yeah, and those two guys have great chemistry together. So it must have just been nice for them to have fun.
Yeah.
No one's crying. No one's dying.
Yeah, and they're talking like, "Oh, I'm 3'7". It's like, and you're 3'6", obviously.
You've always
like,
been
I was taller. He's like, no, Pippin. Like, I'm the tall one. You're the silly one, or something.
You're the short,
like
silly one, and I'm the tall, handsome one.
Yeah. And so then Treebeard, like, he's like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And he picks him up and he takes him. And he talks about like how the Ent wives are gone, and so this is the last generation of the Ents. It's like, oh, what happened? Like, we just lost them. We don't know where they are.
We forgot where they were.
Yeah.
They went shopping one day and then never came back.
Yeah. I don't even remember what they're like anymore. Or what they look like, or where we left them.
Ent women have you.
Hey.
They have got great trunks.
What's his name? Played Treebeard. What's this dude's name?
I forget
his name. John Rhys Davies.
John Rhys Davies. I
Yeah.
was way off.
Who's also Sala.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he also plays Treebeard, and it's kind of a fun performance. But yeah, the delivery is like, it's so interesting because it's so slow. Yeah.
Have you seen Indian women?
Sometimes he like forgets what he's saying, like in the middle of saying
Yeah, he
it.
just kind of stops.
They're like,
I
what?
sound like Bane right now. I kind of sound like Tom Hardy's Bane.
Yeah.
I guess I can't really do a tree bear.
Have you seen them?
Do you feel in control?
Oh god, I love that.
Time to go mobile.
Do you feel judged?
No, I don't.
It's like, I've given you a fortune. Your wealth and resources have been very helpful. To now.
That gives you power?
I love that.
But all my money. Yeah, it was very helpful.
Yeah.
You've worn out your welcome, though.
Like, you don't understand, motherfucker. We're killing you, rich motherfuckers. That's what this story's about.
Wow. Like,
We will rip you from your decadent nests. That movie has like, there's so many things that are like good and then just like terrible.
Oh,
like
yeah.
all stuff, like if you're talking to a teenager and they're saying, "Oh yeah, my friend's working in the sewer," like
literally the sewer. And
there's a lot of work in the sewers.
all he does is the sewer. It's not the sewer. What? There are children in the sewer.
They're children in the
Let's go.
sewer.
No, he's
Yes,
like, oh,
right.
sewer.
Let's go. Let's go right now. You take me to where they say this shit's going on
Literally,
right now.
Anybody else would have been like, you have friends in the fucking sewer. Let's go and get them, and we'll like take them somewhere. But no, he's just like, oh yeah, the sewer. That makes total sense. What were you saying?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, here's a Batman like fucking medallion. Have fun with that. That'll put food on the table.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you.
Well, Gotham's never had very good social services.
No,
Unfortunately.
everyone should just move. Like, why do people stay there? Like, kind of terrible.
Yeah.
Kind of the worst.
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
Metropolis is like hiring kids, and you don't have to work in the sewer.
you don't have to work in a fucking sewer.
Central City. I bet they got some. I bet they got jobs.
Yeah. I'm moving out.
Like, I want there to be like a Batman comic where it's just like everyone leaves Gotham and Batman has nothing to do.
Yeah. That'd be
He just
funny.
has nothing to do. He's the last one.
Because that movie kind of becomes no man's land in a way, because they blow up all the bridges and all this stuff, deal with terrorism. Like, oh, we have a nuke, and if you guys do anything, we're gonna nuke everybody. Ooh, okay.
That sucks. Well, I was planning on leaving anyway.
Yeah.
Not the way I wanted, but I guess. Why didn't they just get on a boat?
Yeah, they sort of like, I don't know, they explain it away. Basically, because like what they do is like the terrorists tell the government to stop people from coming. So basically the idea is that the government is stopping people from getting into...
So the National Guard is basically like probably in the water too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the idea. Because they say, if you let anyone in, we're going to nuke the place. And they sort of acquiesce, which is interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, if I think about that movie too long, I'm gonna get mad.
Yeah. There's a lot of plot issues with it. There's things that are good, and there's a lot of things that are like really bad.
Yeah.
With that movie. But yeah, some of the Bane stuff is really fun.
Yeah.
So they finally reach Edoras, and yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. And then we get this weird stuff like Wormtongue comes to, because like the brother dies, right? And
yeah, she's
no one really did
mourning
anything.
her cousin.
Yeah.
She's the only
yeah.
one who's like mourning her dead cousin, and then this
Yeah.
creepy troll.
He's a nasty dude.
In the internet sense, I mean, he's a little fucking troll that should be under a bridge.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're so pale, like milk.
Yeah.
It's like no woman wants to be compared
Morning
to
pale spring still
No,
clinging
I
to
can't.
winter's
I'm sorry.
chill.
I can't.
The chill clings to you like me.
Don't talk about my chill.
Words are poison.
Don't talk about my milky
I love when she says that. Your words are poison. Get the fuck
like,
away
get
from
the
me.
fuck out of my face. I'm gonna jump off a bridge before I even like think about that. Ugh.
He's so thirsty for her too.
It's so obvious. It's not even like subtle. It's not even like, hey girl. It's like, hey girl.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's got
like,
that insult
energy.
energy.
Your dance. He's got Piers Morgan energy right now.
Yeah.
That's what he got.
Piers Morgan is so mad that Meghan Markle just like wouldn't talk to him. Like seriously, like he like admitted it. He's like, yeah, I went on a date with her, and then I tried to call her, and then she wouldn't talk to me, and now I spend the rest of my life trying to get her to commit suicide. So
yeah. That's what yeah, that's basically what he is doing. It's just Piers. It's really embarrassing. I was scrolling through Facebook videos, and you know how they just automatically play?
Yeah.
One of them was it stopped on a Piers Morgan like interview, not one that he was giving, one that like someone was doing with him. They were interviewing him. And they were just like, so tell us about the Meghan Markle thing. And I'm like, oh God, what is he gonna say? And he's just like, I don't hate her. I want her to do an interview like this when she's not going to be where her victimhood won't be validated. I'm like, yeah. She's a victim though.
And he wants to do it with him. And so that he can like let out his anger.
It's like, no, don't. That's why you don't feed into people like that. Yeah. That's why she's not talking to you.
No,
also, you're a piece of shit.
You're a piece of shit.
No one wants you.
And that dude, like he straight up, I forget what it was, but he basically quit. He rage quit off some situation, something he was working at, and basically what he did was he pretty much just put up a flag saying, "I will do anything for the crown. I am shameless. Shameless. I will throw anyone under the bus, no matter what they do to themselves. If it gets them killed, I don't care. I will do anything for the crown."
And again, I don't understand. Like, I know, again, we're getting sidetracked, but like, I don't understand why they're protecting these people anymore. Like, I don't understand why the institution is so protected. It's meaningless.
I know.
It's fucking meaningless. The one symbol you had of constancy or consistency is dead.
Yeah, she's gone. She lived a long time. She lived a really long time.
Fucking time. And a lot of people have very mixed feelings about it. And I just think it's so crazy that the majority of your Commonwealth are people of color, but the one person of color who came into your family, you chased off like she was a fucking witch.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. That makes me think you don't think very highly of most of your Commonwealth.
Well, they think that they are people to
subjugate.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, they are subjects.
They're subjects.
They are subjects.
Meanwhile, let's talk about a king getting saved by a wizard.
Exactly. So Eowyn like watches the four of them approaching on horses, and then we see this kind of cool thing where like the flag of Rohan kind of rips and it goes flying off.
It's like a sign.
Yeah, it's like a bad sign. You find more cheer in the graveyard.
Like Gimli said. In the graveyard.
In the graveyard.
Damn, Gimli. Oh shit.
Oh fuck. So the four of them come, and then they're like, "Oh, we can't let you guys in so armed." Like, okay. So then they give up their swords and everything.
That's cool.
And he tries to take the staff. Like, oh, you wouldn't take an old man's walking stick, would you?
Well played, okay, Gandalf.
Well, he like winks at Aragorn. It's really funny.
You see the way I fucked with that guy? Like, he thinks I need a walking stick.
And then what's his name? Wormtongue says something to him. He's like, I forget. He's like, he has all these weird lines, but then he knows like, oh, like he has a staff. Like, why don't you take his staff? And then some people are trying to stop him, but other people are like, let's just see how this plays out.
Yeah, I don't really like that Wormtongue guy, so I'm just gonna let this do its thing. I'm gonna let it run its course.
No, I mean he's running the country. Like, yeah, this dude is running the country. He is a freaking troll.
Mm-hmm. The troll has left the bridge, and now he is doing all this weird.
He's one step away from enforcing, having enforced monogamy, like making people marry. Like I'm going to, like he's the type of like the incels have taken over. Finally, we will have our time. Like, what the fuck is going on? We must stop this.
Yes, we will breed with all the women.
Oh my god, that's basically what I think that was what he's gonna do. Yeah. Like that. To be honest, though, like that's legitimately what the deal was given into him. Like, we'll let you marry her, but you completely fuck over the country. Like,
we just need you to fuck up the country as much as possible. You can bang whoever you want to. Yeah. We really need you to fuck. As long as you mess up the country and get rid of the people who are going to cause us problems, you can bang whoever you want.
Yeah.
It's gross, but we're gonna let you do it.
Yeah. So Gandalf, he's like using his staff to try and like save Theoden.
I think he's like
And-
exercising him or some shit. It's crazy.
He is, yeah. He's like, you have no power here, Gandalf the Grey. And he like takes off his cloak, and he's like, this white glow hits him.
Oh shit, plot twist.
I will draw you out like poison is drawn from a wound.
Yeah, he did.
So he expels him. Rohan is mine. This scene's really cool.
Yeah.
And then once he expels him, you get this cool like he like literally pushes him out, pushes Sauron out of his body. And then he sort of morphs back to normal.
Yeah, he doesn't look like sickly gray anymore.
Yeah, dark have been my dreams of late. That's what he says.
Aww.
So, but then he like looks over. He's like, "Oh, Worm Tongue.
I'm gonna kick the shit
I'm gonna
out of
kick
you.
the shit out of this motherfucker." Like,
You were gonna
first
do
off,
what to my women?
yeah,
That's
first
my
off,
job.
first he throws him the fuck out. He gates him out. And I love this. He's like, "Your witchcraft had me crawling on all fours like a beast."
He's got this big ass sword,
This
dude.
big ass sword,
He was
yeah.
just gonna cut him in half.
Yeah. But Aragorn saves him. He's like, no, spare him. No more blood should be shed over him. And he's like, okay. And then I think he spits on Aragorn too. I think Wormtongue
Yeah.
spits on Aragorn.
Aragorn holds his hand out to like help him up, and he's like, he like, and even Aragorn's face is like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's
Ah.
nasty. And he just runs away. He gets on a horse. He runs away. Runs home to Mommy Sauron. Or Saruman. And he's like, where's my son? And his son's dead. So they finally hold a proper burial for him. And Eowyn is singing. Pretty sad.
Yeah.
And yeah, Theoden says like the young perish and the old linger. No parent should have to bury their child, and he starts crying and stuff. And then we see like the kid who was sent by his parents, kid and his sister, like they come out and they're they're in a bad place. And so basically then we see like, oh, they were attacked and all this bad stuff's happening. We have to like defend. We have to do something. You know, basically while you were having some bad dreams, our country was under attack, and we're in a lot of trouble. And also because like they basically banished their entire army.
Pretty
much.
Very
So the army's gone, and he's back in power, but they're scattered and they're
much.
really
He got
weak.
no muscle.
Yeah, they have no more. Like they legitimately banished their entire army.
Yeah, like he's got like a contingent of people that were like hanging around to like be bodyguards or some shit, but like he doesn't have an army. Like he's pretty shit out of luck. He's got old men and women and children. That's what he's got.
Yeah, and so he's like, oh, I don't want to risk a war. But Aragorn's like, open war is upon you whether you risk it or not. And so they're like, okay, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go to Helm's Deep. So Helm's Deep is this ravine where they built this massive sort of fortress, and so they're gonna go there for safety. And then Gandalf is kind of like, okay, this is kind of bad, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find their army, and then as long as you guys survive, I'll be able to help us win this battle.
You'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take off again for a little bit.
Yeah, this is sort of like a classic Gandalf move. He did this a lot in The Hobbit, where it would be like, oh yeah, come on this adventure with me, Bilbo. Oh, by the way, I gotta leave, so
I gotta go.
I'm gonna be gone for most of this journey where I tricked you into going, even though you got paid a lot of money.
Plans with Elrond that I really can't break.
Yeah.
He gets really mad when I break the brunch plans. He really likes his mimosas. So I gotta go. You're gonna be fine, right? Werewolves? You're gonna be okay. Just climb
Look for
over.
my coming at the first light on the 5th day at dawn. Look to the east. So, and then he goes on Shadowfax.
That's his little away message on AIM.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a cool away message.
It actually would be pretty good.
like you go on vacation. That's what it says.
Yep.
To my coming first light on the 5th day.
Oh, Ellie. You're hey.
So Aragorn is a horse whisperer, so he can talk to horses. He's talking to this horse Brago, and he calms him down. And Brago says, "Yeah, let Brago go because he doesn't like war anymore." So they let him go.
And we all know every girl loves the horse whisperer.
Oh, she's got the hots for him.
Oh yeah, she's just like
She got the
blue
hots
eyes,
for
and that
him.
dark hair, and that rugged, all-terrain smell. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
man of the
that's
wild.
her.
And he loves animals.
Yeah. Could you imagine, like, there's fucking Wormtongue, and then there's Aragorn.
And then there's Viggo fucking Mortensen. No contest. It's Wormtongue all the way. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. No.
So then we catch a Wormtongue. It's telling Saruman what happened.
I got my ass kicked.
Yeah, I love it too. He's like Wormtongue gets close to him. He's like, "You smell of horse."
And Wormtongue's like, "Yeah, I've been trying to get to you, asshole."
Yeah.
It's such a villain trope that they're not nice to each other.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no villain is friends with another villain. They're just
No.
always dicks to each other.
They're absolutely pieces of shit to each other. And there's this interesting thing where he like, I saw someone talk about this detail, but like basically, like when Aragorn put out his hand, he saw the ring and he spit on the ring.
Yeah, he did.
But then he like tells that detail to Saruman. It's like, oh yeah, no, this guy, this ranger from the north, he had bad clothes. He was like a Dunedain. He had this ring. It was like a snake eating another snake. And then, you know, Saruman has this book, and he like it's like basically like a visual dictionary. He like looks it up, like, oh, so he's this person. He's the person that they want to become the king. That's his plan. But then, of course, he's super. He's like, oh, that fool! Like the men are too scattered; they'll never be united. By the way, I have to say, I love they give Saruman like these really long nails. Like he's got this like he's got this pedigree.
Nasty ass like Dracula nails.
Yeah, he's got these Dracula nails.
Yeah, I feel like Christopher Lee was like, "Oh, you need to put the nails on me? Go ahead. I've got experience with that."
Yeah.
That's another villain trope. The long, creepy nails.
Yes.
Which, like, honestly,
Absolutely.
with a nice cuticle oil and a clear coat, those probably would have looked much nicer. Just saying.
Yeah. He unfortunately didn't have the the best
clear
nail
coat,
salon.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't have it's probably just some Urukai like just fine.
Oh my god! Could you imagine the Urukai putting his nails on?
It's not going to be very sanitary, I bet.
No, it was probably a goblin. Like, oh, shall I do your nails, my lord?
Yeah, let's give him a nice buff. You know, I'm thinking of maybe doing a French tip this year.
Oh my god!
What kind of blue do you have?
Yeah, it's so funny. So then we kind of catch back up at Edoras, and like basically because they're all gonna leave, they're all gonna go to Helm's Deep, which is dangerous. Getting there is dangerous. And so Eowyn, it's like she's got a sword, and she's like, you can tell she knows what she's doing. She's not just some person who can just like who's just been handed a sword and can kind of like defend herself. Like, no, she's really she knows what she's doing. Yeah, she killed him.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he says to her, oh, what do you fear, lady? Oh, I fear a cage, to stay behind bars until use and old age accept them, and all chance of doing great deeds is gone beyond recall or desire. It was interesting. It's another line from the book. And so then, because they're taking this kind of treacherous path to get to Helm's Deep, Saruman's like, oh, send out the warg riders. And the wargs are these really creepy, like, werewolf, hyena-looking things.
They're pretty gross and scary looking.
They're really gross. So Frodo and Sam are continuing on the journey, and Gollum has this DID stuff where he's fighting his other alter ego or his other personality, and then he finally kind of like kicks him out, and he's like, leave and never come back, and then he finally goes away. By the way, like, I feel like he should have won an Oscar just for this scene.
Yeah, just for this
one
scene, it was pretty amazing.
And so now he's supposed to be good, basically.
That's the thing. I'm like, did Gollum actually go, or was he just like being patient because he knew eventually it was all gonna
He
blow
was
up
probably
in his face.
being patient.
He's probably
Yeah.
just like, you know what, I can't deal with you right now, and the hobbits are gonna do what the hobbits are gonna do, and then you're gonna come crawling back to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some kind of toxic, awful, manipulative relationship.
Yeah, really. So then Frodo and Sam, they see basically there are these. So pretty much like there are, and this is kind of like the I don't know. You can kind of interpret it the way you want, but basically the way that you kind of look at the world of Middle Earth is like there's people that live in the West. There's like Gondor, and the elves live out there. And then in the south and the east. So in the east is where Mordor is, and that place has just become where all the orcs and all these other very evil beings live. And they've turned that area also, it's like uninhabitable because of all the basically terraforming they did. So there's a giant haze over it, so human beings don't live there. It's just like orcs and these other kind of dark beings. But in the south of these other humans, and these humans are also kind of they align themselves with the bad guys a lot, too. And so Frodo and Sam are kind of basically coming across these guys, and so they have these Oliphants, these giant elephants, these war elephants, and so there's an army coming, and Gollum's like explain to them like, oh yeah, these are men from the south, and they're joining forces with the Dark Lord to fight the final battle. So yeah, bad shit's going. But then we see that army get attacked by somebody. A bunch of arrows get shot, they all die. And then Frodo and Sam, conveniently Gollum just disappears.
Conveniently.
Yeah. And then Frodo and Sam get captured by Faramir. So, yeah, and then he takes them. And that's really bad, too, because as we knew from before, their faction, the Gondor faction, they want the ring.
Yeah.
They want to use the ring. They have delusions. They have massive delusions. And and that comes, as we're going to see later, from the steward himself. Yeah, and so then we go back to, Aragorn and Eowyn. She cooks for him.
It's pretty bad.
He eats it begrudgingly, and he's like, ooh.
It was just kind of like it was water and damp bread. Like, that's what it kind of looked like. I don't know what it was.
Here's a soup for you.
I like that he was just like, yeah, it's great. And she's like, really? Even she's like,
yeah.
Okay, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, I just took a piece of bread, I put in some water, and then I heated it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess that's a new recipe for me.
Yeah, put that in the book.
Yeah. So then she's like, "Oh, you fought, my basically you fought with my grandfather in a war. Is that actually true?" And he's like, "Yeah, that did happen." Like Theoden was like a child at the time.
Yeah, your uncle was like a kid. I'm surprised he remembers me. Yeah. Like, what if he ruffled his hair or something? Hey,
Yeah. I mean,
oh, but that means you're older. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm 87.
Like, she's like, ooh, you look great for 87.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh wow, you must be famished. Please eat some more. That's what she said.
I forget the actress. I think it's Miranda Otto.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
I can't remember her name. I might be getting her confused with somebody else. Actually, the name.
Yeah, Miranda Otto.
Oh, good.
You are correct.
She gives
10 points for Gryffindor.
Yes. I'm actually a Ravenclaw, though. Sorry.
10 points for Ravenclaw.
Thank you. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, she just gives the best goo eyes. Like, it's always just like,
yeah.
And she's always got that like blush on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's her actually being able to blush in front of Viggo Mortensen, or if it's probably just makeup. But like, it's so obvious, girl.
Oh yeah,
it's
she's
so obvious.
I mean, they would have worked out.
I think she would have been left loveless. I think the first 5 years would have been okay. They would have had some babies, and then eventually he would have just still thought about Arwen.
Oh yeah.
And she could never live up to that.
It would have had to be a situation where, where
nobody wants to be second best.
Yeah, probably. I mean, she seemed like like there's an alternate world where Arwen just leaves.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have worked out. That would be the only way.
Maybe,
really.
yeah. If she had left, maybe then it would have worked out. But I don't know. Aragorn is pretty in love with Arwen.
Oh yeah.
And I think on paper, Éowyn and Aragorn work. You know, you can unite the houses of Rohan and Gondor. That's pretty politically great. On top of the fact that she's a really compassionate, cool chick.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, they're not meant to be.
Not meant to be. There's something else in your future, girl.
Yeah, there is. So then we get this flashback to like when Aragorn was talking to Arwen. And basically this whole thing is like, you know, it's like, hey, you know, Elrond wants her to go to the Undying Lands. And she wants to stay with him. And, you know, he tried to break up with her, but she's like, nah, dude.
We're not breaking up.
It's like, do you really want to break up?
It's
No,
like,
you
well,
don't.
no.
Like my dad told you some bullshit. And so, like, no, we're not breaking up.
That's the thing.
We're not breaking up because you don't want to break up. You got guilted into this whole situation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, Arwen has to literally fight tooth and nail just to like be able to be trusted to make her own fucking decisions. And that's kind of frustrating about not just their relationship, but about Arwen in general. Is that like her father doesn't seem to take her seriously and doesn't trust that she's a fucking adult. And like Aragorn's just like, you know, your dad probably knows best. It's just like, I think she's old enough, literally, to make up her own friggin' mind about where she wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's got a strong resolve in what she wants to do, and they both want to be together.
Yeah,
they both want to be together. You know, love conquers all.
Mm-hmm. We always
so. Yeah. So then they get attacked by these warg riders, and then this battle ensues. So we get this really cool, like this scene always kind of blew my mind when I saw it the first time. Well, at least when I first like noticed it. So like Legolas like does this one-armed like fucking mount on his horse.
Make sense. I'm sorry, it does not make sense. No, that is literally physically impossible.
I mean, it's really fucking cool.
Cool, but like I slowed it down and showed it to Ryan. He's like, "What the hell is he doing?"
It's so because like he grabs it with the opposite arm and then like kind of loops his way up backwards.
It's cool, but once you notice it, you can't unsee it. It's just so jarring. I mean, it's cool, but he's an elf, so elves defy gravity, man.
And that's basically what they're showing.
Like floating rocks, for fuck's sake, or falling rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a real, like, I remember the first time I noticed that, I was like, what the fuck?
What the hell? Legolas.
What did he just do? And then I remember, like, when I had the DVD, I slowed it down, and you can kind of, like, slow it down frame by frame, and I'm, like, watching, like, what the fuck? Like, but yeah, they're just trying to show that he's, like, superhuman. Like,
yeah, he's literally superhuman, and he defies gravity and physics. And, he always exceeds expectations.
Yeah. So they're fighting, and it's kind of funny. So Legolas gets on this horse that Gimli's on, and then Gimli just falls off.
Like almost immediately.
Yeah, it immediately just falls off. I mean, you know, they're not horse lords.
No.
To be fair to them. There's a big fight, a bunch of people die. Aragorn gets like caught on this one warg, and the two of them just go off a cliff. And so, yeah, basically it looks like he's dead. Mm-hmm. They interrogate some goblin. He's like, hey, he had a little fall. He got this weird,
I'm feeling grog.
Yeah, it's just fun seeing, again, all these Australian, New Zealand accent people.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, and so then, you know, Theoden is like, we gotta go. We gotta just leave the wounded and get to Helm's Deep. So they leave him. They get to Helm's Deep, but then Gimli tells Éowyn that Aragorn fell. Yeah. Which is depressing.
Bums her out. Yeah, bums her out a bit.
It's a downer. It's a little bit of a downer. So then we get this really cool scene where basically, Wormtongue and Saruman are like talking about like, it's like, oh, there's one weakness in Helm's Deep. It's like they have this drain, and the drain is like the one place where you can kind of mount an attack and get past the wall. And he's saying something, but basically there's some gunpowder, and then like Wormtongue's like putting the fire near the gunpowder, and he's like, no.
Can you step the fuck back, please, sir? You're gonna blow us off the drain.
You don't understand science, but let's just say you don't want to put the fire with that. It's a bad idea. And yeah, he's like, if the wall is breached, Helm's Deep would fall, but it would take an army beyond reckoning. Storm the keep, take like thousands, like tens of thousands. But my lord, there is no such force. And they walk out to this terrace, and there's like 10,000 guys. Oh, and there's all this.
The camera's like, what do you think I've been working on?
Yeah, dude. Do you think I killed all these ants for nothing?
Like,
well, I kind of did, but
my friends for
fun.
Yeah,
I burned them down because we are like mobilizing an army of 10,000 Urukai who are like super elite fighters. They're not just like your average goblin. Like there's like 10 goblins is worth one Urukai.
No, I'm talking special forces, Navy SEALs, Black Ops, Power Rangers.
Exactly. Yeah. What I love about the scene too is like you can kind of hear there's this really loud war drum beating like very intently. And you can hear it the whole time while they're talking. It's like boom, boom, but as they get closer to the terrace, it gets louder and louder, and then he opens his door, and then it's like blasting. And they're chanting. I'll get to the chant later, because they're saying something really cool in the black speech, actually. So, and then he gives this whole speech. I love too, because like basically they see him and they're just like they get hella loud, and he's just like, just be quiet. He just puts out his hand, and then they all just like stop.
Leave my fans.
It's like
Joel Osteen announcing to talking to his freaking parish or some shit.
Yeah. They're like, because again, like this whole thing, like Saruman has a plan of his own design. He wants to get the ring and then use it for himself to become the most powerful being on the planet. And so his army is like his army. It's not like he's very elitist. He's like, I don't have these silly goblins. I have Urukai who are super trained. And yeah, he thinks he's going to take over the world. He thinks this is it. And so he says, a new power is rising. Its victory is at hand. This night, the land will be stained with the blood of Rohan. March to Helm Deep. Leave no one alive to war. Like there will be no dawn for men.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I love that. The dun 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 dun, like the motif for them, for
that
Isengard.
was pretty great.
And the Urukai. So they were chanting. I don't know if I can really phonetically say it, but basically it translates to the old wizard of the earth, hail Sauron, Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Earth.
No, that's pretty deep. That's pretty cool.
And this is in the black speech. Yeah, it's a really badass scene. I love that. But it's like kind of scary because like even Wormtongue starts crying. He's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, I remember that. Like he even like weeps a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too loud?
Yeah, he's like, "Whoa! This is like the end of the world." It's kind of like someone like the equivalent of someone who like sold some people out to Hitler, and then they actually see the Nazis marching through, the Champs-Élysées in France or something. It's like, oh shit, this is real. Yeah, this isn't a joke.
I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I think there's some buyer's remorse from Wormtongue, just a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, I sold out my people, and a lot of people are gonna die.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, Wormtongue was at one point a man of Rohan. They even say that at one point, I think in the extended edition of the third movie. They're like, no, man, you were like a good guy at one point. We don't know what happened. It's probably because we kept calling you Wormtongue, and your name is probably Jeff or something.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Oh yeah, that over there. That's Jeff.
We call him Worm Tongue.
We call him Worm Tongue because he's like really weird.
Worm Tongue. You nerd.
Worm Tongue, and those were the first people that he killed. When
Yeah,
he
those
took
are the
over.
first people he sold out. He's like, fuck you.
What an asshole! What an asshole! So Merry and Pippin are on Treebeard, and they see the fucking army like heading out of Isengard, and they're like, "Ooh, the war is here, it's starting now." So then we pick up and we see Aragorn. Aragorn's alive, and Brago kind of helps him up. So they actually had this horse like hit him in the head, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very well trained horses here. Yeah, and so then we get more of this stuff, the flashback stuff, where like Eowyn and Aragorn, they're having this kind of situation, and like basically Elrond convinces her to leave to go to the Undying Lands. It's like, oh, your future, there's only death in your future. And then we get this other thing where it's like, it's almost like Elrond and Galadriel are kind of like communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they're saying like, oh, the war is going really bad. You know, what are we going to do? The quest is going to claim Frodo's life. And he knows it now. You know, should we intervene? Should we do anything? And then we see Faramir is interrogating Frodo and Sam. And then we get this other flashback where it's him and Boromir. So Boromir, like, basically they won this battle at Osgiliath. And, you know, they're celebrating. They're going to drink some beer. And then, hey, their dad shows up. Denethor.
And then the big downer shows up. Denethor the Downer, they called him.
Yeah.
Denethor the Buzzkill.
Yeah, Mr. Buzzkill. Yeah, no, I mean, that's really what it is. Like, you're drunk and you're drinking, and then you look like, oh, fuck, it's Denethor. And Denethor treats Faramir like shit. Like, he absolutely treats him like trash. And he's always praising Faramir, and he's always dissing Faramir. Yeah, and so basically Denethor tells Boromir, like, oh, hey, there's this meeting at Rivendell, there's this Council of Elrond's going to happen, and they're going to have the Ring of Power there, and so you have to bring it back to me, and we're going to use it to win this war. And Faramir's kind of like, oh no, you can send me, I'll do it, and he's like, no, I wouldn't trust you, you'll fail. Yeah, because like at the beginning of this, they talked about, because like basically Frodo and Sam were like, oh yeah, we knew Boromir. It's like, oh, well then you would know that he's dead. And that we found his body, and his horn was cloven in two. So.
Yeah, at this point, they don't know he's dead. It's all new to them.
Yeah. So then Faramir catches Gollum in the Forbidden Pool, and he's like in there fishing for stuff, and he's eating a fish, and they're like, you know, this is punishable by death, so we're gonna kill him now. But you don't care about him, right? So, because it's just the two of you guys, so yeah. And then Frodo's like, oh shit. And again, like you said before, where he's like, he's thinking about what Gandalf said to him. He's like, okay, I gotta spare his life. So they, you know, he basically gets them to spare his life, but then he gets him trapped by these men. It's like, oh yeah, come on, Gollum. He's literally like, yeah, come here, little Gollum, come here. It's gonna be fine.
Let's go now. That's the thing. Even Smeagol's just like, some of this ain't right.
Yeah, this ain't right.
I've been around a long time, and I've been trapped by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you are very amateur right now. But I like you, so I'm gonna. Even
so I'm gonna trust you.
He just walks out with a fish in his mouth. He's like, "Arr."
Yeah. And yeah, they trap him, and they beat
the shit out of him unnecessarily, in my opinion. Like, that was unnecessary. They literally straight up like cold cocked him right in the fucking jaw, and I was just like,
they beat the shit out of him.
That's a little extreme, Faramir. Get your dudes in line.
Yeah, and then you know, the personality disorder kicks in again, and he starts talking to himself. But then he also says, like, basically that they have the ring, and then he just like screams at Faramir. Yeah, very strange behavior. And so, I mean, Faramir was excited. He's like, "Oh, I did it! I got the ring for my dad, and Daddy will finally love me." He's basically, that's what he's thinking. He's like, oh,
Faramir had the tattoo on his arm that said, "Daddy never loved me."
Yeah,
with like a sword through a heart.
He's kind of. I don't know if he ever like really understood it, but he kind of needs to know that his dad was a piece of shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
sucks.
it's not his fault. He's a good dude too. Both of them are good, actually. Boromir
that's
and
the thing.
Faramir.
Boromir and Faramir are good guys in spite of their father. It's like,
but yeah, their dad's a piece of shit.
yeah, their dad
Like,
sucks. Like, they probably weren't even really raised by their dad. They were probably raised by other like soldiers and other people. They probably got sent to like the guard or the army or whatever really young. It's like their dad doesn't know them. Like, he has Boromir on this pedestal, which is so firstborn father syndrome or firstborn son syndrome. Like, I grew up around that kind of mentality of like your firstborn son can literally do no wrong. No wrong. They're always perfect. And it's just like, it's not.
yeah.
That's very unhealthy. It's so fucking unhealthy.
What's the book that wrote? It's called Spare.
Oh, yeah, it's Aaron Spare.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Spare,
like, in the case of, like, the royal family, it would be William's the heir, Harry's the spare.
Harry's the spare, yeah.
Yeah, and once William had his own children, honestly, Harry became completely superfluous.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, and so then they treat you that way, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just... Yeah. It's a whole symptom. Like... But... Boromir wasn't perfect, and he's just like the way he's just like when Gandalf finally shows up to see Denethor, and he's just holding the horn of Gondor, and it's like, I'm not saying, hey dude, get over it, but like, dude, your son was kind of not perfect. Like, yeah, it's a whole thing. Oh, there's deer running in the backyard. Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, and then he's like, yeah, the ring will go to Gondor. So this is bad. It's a bad development.
Yeah,
so
not good.
Aragorn is on Brago, and he as well sees the approaching army, and then he's like, "Oh shit!" So he kind of rides.
Like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Starts riding quickly. He gets to Helm's Deep, and Eowyn is excited to see him, but again, she sees that he's because the first thing that happens is he gets handed the token that was given to him by Arwen. Mm-hmm. So she's like, "Oh shit." She's like, why are the only guys that are into me these fucking weirdo incel dudes? Like, what did I do to deserve this?
When I like them, they don't like me, and when they like me, I don't like them.
I don't like them. No, not at all. Oh man. Yeah, and so then Aragorn tells them like, hey, they're coming, like, and there's a lot of them. I mean, there's like 10,000 of them. I mean, they're sending everybody. They're sending everybody, so we got to get ready.
How many armies? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them?
All of them? Yeah.
We need to... Shit's getting real, guys.
Yeah, and then Theoden says, if this was to be our end, then I would have them make such an end as to be worthy of remembrance.
Theoden's got some good fucking dialogue, I gotta say. Like, he's got some really good fucking dialogue. He's just like, I'm going out with a fucking bang, man. I'm, like, gonna make so much noise. And it's, Like, he gets many of the best lines, and then he gets a bunch of great stuff in Return of the King too. He's got a lot of really good. Like, he's a great character. Oh yeah, I feel like this guy is probably a Shakespearean actor of some kind, maybe some kind of Shakespearean background, because he just like. Yeah, he delivers it well. He delivers. Yeah, he was also in Titanic. He was the captain. He was the captain. He was pretty good in that too. A lot more, I don't want to say subdued or anything like that, but it was a much, like, quieter performance. Really, really good. That is not a deer. I'm sorry. That is... It's a mountain lion. I wouldn't put it's Maine, dude. It could be a fucking mountain lion. Yeah. It's something running around it there. I'm going to have to maybe close my curtains in a minute. That's really... I don't have ADD. But yeah, he was really good at Titanic. Just a really good English actor. Good. I really admire him. Yeah. So Eowyn is mad because they're like, "Oh, you need to just go with the women and the children in the glittering caves." She's like, "No, I need to fight." And she's like, "It's like, well, need someone to protect them in case, And that's the thing that she doesn't get. It's not I don't think it's a sexist thing, honestly. He's like, "You are the last line. We need to keep you safe." And if anyone's going to keep them safe, girl, I know you were the last line of defense against the worst scum of the universe. So the universe. I need you not on the front line where you're probably going to get killed. I need you back there as like protecting them because they can't protect themselves. And he's just a good uncle or a good father figure, man. Like, I love their relationship. I really do.
They shot some scenes where she had to fight some people.
That's pretty cool.
They cut them all, but yeah. Well, there was a lot of stuff that happened, especially in this movie, where they were kind of like trying to figure out what to do. I remember even hearing something where the whole Ent thing at the end was like a completely they made it up sort of at the last minute. So there was a lot of stuff. I mean, there's even a couple shots where Arwen, like there's a shot where what's her name, who plays Arwen, is at the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Liv Tyler. Yeah, I actually heard that. I think I may have even seen a picture of her there. That never got used and everything like that. I feel like that doesn't really surprise me because this movie has a lot going on.
Yeah,
it's not entirely linear. This movie has dozens of flashbacks in the extended version, in the theatrical version. There's a lot going on with this movie, so it doesn't really surprise me that the ending may have had to been tweaked multiple times just to make everything fit really well. And then you still have an extended edition. Yeah. So it's just that doesn't really come as much of a surprise to me that there was a lot of stuff that was underused or maybe overused in some cases. Yeah. But yeah, that makes, I mean, again, this movie has so much going on.
And I can kind of see why they'd want Arwen to show up in a way. Because then that's like another sort of like a dedication of her love to him. Like she's literally putting herself in harm's way to fight with these other elves. But yeah, I can see why it kind of, I don't know, why they'd want to get rid of it, basically.
Yeah, maybe it didn't work really well in the final edit. Maybe it was just too much. Maybe it was too many characters at once. You know, that can definitely happen. Sometimes too many characters to follow, and because there has to be a...
Yeah, because then you have to resolve that. You have to see what happened to her and where'd she go.
Yeah, you have to see a resolution for all of these characters, you know, stories that are happening all at the same time. It's a lot, so I get it.
Yeah. Okay. So Legolas is like, he's like, dude, this is a bad idea. It's like, I think we're all gonna die. It's like, then I will die as one of them. So then he gets Aragorn, rightfully gets pissed. He's like, dude, we're about to fight this 10,000 people with like 200 people. Like, shouldn't be talking about we're all gonna die right now. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of like cutting between this and like the Ents. The Ents are having a meeting. And it takes him like 8 hours to say hello to everybody. It's a lot. And he's like, yeah, we just said hello. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, there's a war going on. You all need to fight or something.
We need to do something.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we're just catching up. We haven't seen each other in a long time.
Yeah. So they were here and there, like, arming children and old men and, like, basically anyone who can fight. And even though, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Let's put it that way. It's really bad.
Not good.
So then Aragorn sort of comforts this little boy. He's like, oh, you have a good sword. You have a good name. It'll be all right.
It's not.
It's not, yeah. But,
Are good sword and a good name bulletproof or sword proof?
Yeah, I mean,
He's giving him a pep talk.
You gotta hope. You gotta have some kind of hope.
You gotta give him some hope.
And look, there's some good news is coming. Legolas sort of apologizes. And then this horn sounds, and they're like, "Oh, what's that horn?" It's like, "Oh, a bunch of elves came."
Dun, 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 dun.
A bunch of elves came, and so I think these are the Lothlorien elves.
Yep.
But they come with a message from Elrond, and he talks about, "Oh, there was an alliance between men and elves, and we're here to honor that alliance." We get this great like hero shot where like, suddenly Legolas is like standing behind this guy. I think I wrote down this dude's name.
Haldar?
It starts with an H. I forget his name. But yeah, we see him in the first movie where, he's from Lothlorien, and they're there. They are there to fight and die, and this is they are very needed. And I mean, this is like a big deal because like the elves basically, and this is also something that only happens in the movie, not in the book. But the elves are like, because like there's even that conversation between Elrond or whatever. I don't know what it was, but whatever. But like at some point, Galadriel says like, "Are we gonna do something?" Should we do something?
Mm-hmm.
Because like this is teetering, and they could, you know, the whole world. I know we're leaving because elves are leaving, and they're going basically to heaven.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy too.
Yeah, and
Like,
so yeah, because like if you think about it, like these elves could have gone to heaven.
I was literally just going to say these elves made a choice, a conscious choice that they could. You guys, hey guys, you can get on the boat and you can go, but there are these people that need help, and not all of you are going to come back.
Yeah, matter of fact, many of you are going to die.
Yeah, many of you are going to die. But that's the choice, and that's pretty intense. That's pretty fucking intense.
That's really intense. But they show up and everyone's very happy to see them.
He gives them a hug.
Yeah, he gives them a hug. He's like, oh my god, thank God, they're here.
My bro came.
Thank God, we're here. Because I almost feel like they probably would have lost without the elves. Like,
yeah, they definitely would have probably been over a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the battle's about to begin. It's like we get this scene where like Gimli, he's too short to like look over the ledge.
Shall I get you a box?
Yeah, shall I describe it to you? Thunder and lightning, a rainstorm just like erupts, and we see like this fucking massive army coming into the gorge here or whatever. Yeah, and then some guy asks someone one-eyed dude. I think is it the one-eyed dude or is it a different dude? Some old dude shoots one of them in the face by accident.
He's shaking and scared. And
yeah, he's like, at least he hit him. At least he killed him.
At least he hit him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that really pisses off the orc guy, which I think is funny because like, dude, you knew the battle was going to begin at some point, but it's okay, here we go again.
And then the battle's on. You know, they're firing arrows. The Uruk-hai, they have these ladders to scale the wall. They get on the ladders. Legolas and Gimli, they're having this little game to see who can kill more people. Yeah, and the battle is on during the night. So meanwhile, the Ents, they're still talking, and they haven't decided on... The only thing they decided on is like, yeah, we decided, you guys, you're not orcs, you're hobbits. So it's like, okay. And Mary's like, okay, but what about, like, fighting this war? Oh, we're still deliberating about that.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, we're running out of time. Our friends are out there getting killed. You need to get involved in this war. It's like, oh, don't be hasty. Don't be hasty.
Don't be hasty.
Yeah. So the Uruk, they get a bomb into the sewer. They get it in there. And then there's a dude with basically a torchbearer, and he's running in there. And everyone's like, dude, you got to kill him. Legolas, kill him. And he shoots him, and he's
trying to do it. Every arrow's landing. It's just not bringing him down.
Yeah, it didn't kill him. And then... Yeah, they explode the wall. It just blows up.
That's a great explosion, too, I have to say. The way it, like, spits out the rock. Oh, my God, it's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's very well done, and it's like, you know, again, they use these miniatures, and the way that the miniature looks when the explosion happens is, like, really impressive. Yeah. Very impressive.
Very good.
They talked about, like, they had some of the miniatures were, like, really fucking big. I forget they had a different name for it, but, like, because, like, the Minas Morgul and the Minas Tirith, like, these are all, like, really massive designed miniatures that they created, and they're extremely detailed, and they just look really fucking cool. So, yeah, and now the fight's kind of taking a turn, because they can breach the wall. And so the army's coming through. Gimli like jumps off what was left of the bridge to attack some of the Uruk-hai. And the elves like fire a bunch of arrows at some people. And they basically start fighting and engaging them. And it's, you know, they start taking a lot of losses. And then we see Legolas sliding down a staircase on a shield. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, again, he's like a superhuman. Like he's the superhero of this universe.
Pretty much.
Oh my god. So yeah, then like we see the Ents, and the Ents are like, yeah, we're not gonna get involved. Like, this isn't our fight. And then Mary's like, but you're a part of this world. You have to, like, this is gonna affect you. You have to do something. And, you know, Treebeard's like, no, you know, don't worry. You guys need to go back home. This story's over for you guys. And Pippin tries to cheer Merry up. He's like, oh, we'll just go back to the Shire and we'll be fine. And he's like, dude, you don't get it. Like,
Not
if we
gonna be
don't,
fine.
no, I mean, they're the Shire is next.
Yep.
Like, this is going to consume the whole planet. There's not going to be anything for us to go back to. Yeah, so it was Haldir, I think is the name of that guy.
Okay.
So Haldir is the elf guy that we saw in Lord of the Rings, first movie, Fellowship of the Ring, and we see him get killed, basically.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he does.
Yeah, he gets slashed by a bunch of dudes, and Aragorn like tries to save him, and then dude basically just dies in his arm, and then Aragorn's like, man, fuck this.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
real ham.
yeah, he's like, fuck this, and so he like jumps onto one of these like ladders, and he like, yeah, he just goes crazy, starts killing a bunch of people. So then we get this other scene where, so like basically there's this bridge that leads on to where the keep is, and so they had been, the Uruk-hai had been sort of they got like a what do they call that? The thing where you smash the door with,
like a battering ram.
Yeah, exactly. They have a battering ram, and they're smashing and they're trying to get through, and the Rohirrim are trying to like sort of bar the door. It's kind of not working, so they need a distraction. And so Aragorn and Gimli, they go through the back door, which is like really convenient. There's this back door to this thing,
convenient.
and there's a little ledge. And so they're like, "Oh, we can take him. We can take him." And he's like, "You got to toss me over." It's like, "What?" Like, he was like, "Toss me over there, and then we'll go and kill them all."
Don't
like, okay. Tosses them over, and they start fighting them on this little causeway. And they do that until the breach is sealed, and then Legolas kind of pulls them up to safety with this with a rope or something. But then the Rohan forces, they're way outnumbered and they're losing, so they keep retreating. They're retreating and retreating further into the keep, and so things are not looking good. But the night's almost over. So then Pippin has probably the best idea of his life.
Probably, yeah. Because now it's sunken. It's sunken.
Yeah.
You got to do something. We're not going home just yet.
So he decides, oh, why don't you take us to Isengard instead of taking us home? And then he makes it like, oh yeah, because like the closer we are to danger, the further away from harm we'll be. It's like, okay, sure, whatever you want. So they go, and then of course they come upon this forest that was completely destroyed. And the Treebeard's like, what the fuck? Because now it's personal. Because now they've killed their people.
They found out where the Ant women went.
Yeah, and he's like, a wizard should know better.
I love
this guy
should know better.
Yeah, this guy, he's gone to the dark side. So now the Ents, they're like, fuck it. And so he screams, like, no! Like, we get the classic no.
Yup. Then here come the Ents.
And he says, this is the last march of the Ents. Which is kind of sad. Because he says something like, he basically says, like, this is the end for us. We're going to fight this battle. We're going to kill them all. But, yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah, and then they go to war against Isengard. Yep. Like, that's it. So then Frodo and Sam and Boromir, they're going to Osgiliath. And Osgiliath is like, man, I feel so bad for anyone who ever lived in that city, because it's such a bad place to be.
Yeah, it's the worst possible place to be.
It's like the worst possible place, and it's like ground zero. It's like Leningrad or Stalingrad or something.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
Like, they're fighting there over and over and over, and you can tell the city is like destroyed. It's been sieged, and there's like nothing left.
Yeah, at that point, they're probably just like, there's no point rebuilding, because it's just going to keep getting sieged.
Yeah. But they're basically defending it. And again, the genius steward of Gondor is a fucking idiot. And so he's sending people out there, and they should be retreating probably. But, so there's all this fighting is happening. And the Nazgul are around. You can hear them. And, like, Sam basically gets pissed off. He's like, you know why your brother died? Like, he tried to kill Frodo and take the ring from him when he swore to protect him. The ring drove your brother mad. But he still kind of does. He's starting to get it. Faramir's starting to get it.
Coming around, yeah.
Frodo's in a bad place.
Yeah.
Frodo's in a bad place. And he's starting to like really feel the effects of the ring. So then at Helm's Deep, like they've gone all the way into the keep, and so then Aragorn's like, okay, this is it. Like let's just ride out. Let's just ride out and just attack and kill them as much as we can in one last attack.
One last hurrah.
Yeah. And then Gimli says something about, oh, it's almost dawn, and he's like, oh shit, they're gonna be here. This is it. This is that dawn on the 5th day. And he's like, and then again he gets another, like, Theoden gets another great line. It's like, the horn shall sound in the deep one last time. Fell deeds awake, now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red dawn. And they go in
so good.
right out, and they just like they start killing a bunch of people on this little causeway. They're just like smashing them, killing them. And then they look up, and who's there in the east? Gandalf is there.
One true white wizard, man.
Yeah. The king stands alone. And then
Not
what's his name?
alone.
Not alone. Woohoo!
It's such a steep hill that they ride down, though.
They're so dead. Like, the Uruk-hai is so dead. Like, it's basically like a vertical drop.
Yeah, it's literally just a vertical drop down the cliff face. Like, the fact that nobody fell off their horse is kind of amazing. But they probably should have. The horses probably should have fallen down the hill.
Yeah.
But, hey, horses are pretty athletic creatures, so... And these are Rohirrim horses, so they probably have some special balancing.
This is the sire of Shadowfax, the horse lord. These are the elite horses.
Yeah, Shadowfax leading the horses in a charge is so cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I wonder if, like, in horse language, he gave some of his like, own guys.
He gave a speech. Yeah.
Oh god, that's pretty good. No, they come down and they kick the shit
out of them. And in a scene that's in the extended only, we see basically the remnants of the army run into the forest and they get killed. Like, we just hear a smushing sound, basically.
Yeah, you literally just hear smushing and stomping and
yeah.
Probably a Wilhelm scream in there somewhere.
Yeah. And then we see, like, the Ents are destroying Isengard, and this is a really cool sequence where they're, like, stomping people and stepping on people, and then, like, this one, they shoot some flaming arrows at him, but then he catches fire, like, the Ent catches fire, but then just stomps on him anyway. They destroy a bridge. They destroy a, what is it? It's a dam.
Yeah,
they destroy a dam. And it floods the whole area. And the guy who's on fire, like, kind of cools off.
Yeah, this was Ryan's favorite part. When the Ent got set on fire, he was like, no.
Yeah.
Not fire. And then he sees him, like, dip his head in the water. He's like, oh, he's okay.
Yeah,
he's like,
okay.
Him. He's like, he's okay. And I'm like, I've seen
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love that. And
Ryan loved the Ents. I was very surprised.
Ents are cool.
Yeah, man, they were really cool.
Ents are really cool. Like, the idea of a sentient tree is a really cool idea.
Yeah, I love trees.
So yeah, they destroy Isengard, and we basically at the end just see there's just Saruman up in the tower, and he's like, ah. So then back to Frodo and Sam. So Frodo gets overtaken by the ring, and he walks up onto some terrace, and he's like about to put the ring on, and an Nazgul is gonna come and take him.
Oh, yeah, it's talons, like they're like reaching out.
Well, the Fell Beast is gonna take
Fell
him.
Beast.
And he's like literally about to put on the ring, and then Sam stops him, and Frodo gets pissed off, and he pulls a sting out on him, and he's about to kill him. He's like, "Hey, I'm Sam. Don't you know you're Sam?"
Aww.
And so he's in a really bad place, and he's just like, Frodo's like, "Dude, I give up, man. I can't do this. I can't." And then Sam has this great speech, where he's like, I'll read the whole thing, but basically he's like, saying, it's always darkest before the dawn. We got to keep going. And, there's good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
That's what the great stories are about. Like this story. Like the story that we're watching right now. It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Sam is such a great character. And, like, I feel like this, and especially Return of the King, like, man, how the fuck did this guy not get nominated?
No, I don't know.
Oscar?
Because, again, the Oscars are fucking snobby. If it's not fucking drama or some shit about some creepy family or something like that. It's just like it's just not gonna do it for them, and it's snobby and it's awful. But you know what? We know that we love Sam, and we know that Sean Astin is a great actor because of it, and yeah, we appreciate him. I think that matters more.
It does.
In my opinion, I think that would matter more. Obviously, the respect and admiration of your peers matters, but knowing how much this character is loved by fans and who maybe relate to Sam or just see something in him that, you know, makes you feel good about yourself, I think matters more, in my opinion. Then again, I'm not an actor who is desiring the admiration of my peers. So.
Yeah. I mean, Sam is a great character. And what's so great about the Lord of the Rings is like there's the main characters, the Aragorn, Frodo, but then there's all these side characters that are really, really interesting, you know.
Yeah, who matter just as much. Yeah, who matter just
as much. Boromir. Yeah, I mean there's tons of interesting dynamics going on.
And I think what matters a lot about a lot of these supporting characters, a lot of them have in common, the good ones, pardon me, in the sense of good and evil, is that there's a huge amount of compassion.
Yes.
There's a huge, like, Sam, except for really in regards to Gollum, but again, we've already discussed
he hates Gollum.
You know, Eowyn is extremely compassionate. Faramir becomes compassionate towards Frodo's plight. You know, it's like, dude, this is really fucking you up, and I'm sorry that you have to carry this, and I messed up. You know, I got my daddy issues. That's not your fault, and that's not your problem. You know
I mean? Exactly.
Like, and there's a good amount of compassion from all of them, and I think that's what makes them so great. I'll even say, like, even though Radagast is not my favorite part of the Hobbit movies, he is so compassionate.
Yes.
He's very compassionate. He's like, he just takes care of animals and wants to do mushrooms in the woods, man. Like, that's cool. Do it, man. Like, he's not hurting anybody.
Exactly.
Like, there's a scene in The Hobbit when he's like trying to save like a little little animal or something, and he's just,
a bunny or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sweet and sad.
Trying to get the poison out of it.
Yeah. So I think that's something Tolkien put into his supporting characters that Peter Jackson really highlighted and was able to bring to the screen very well.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I feel like what he says here is like the theme of the whole story.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. One of the major themes, at least. So yeah, the Uruks are defeated. Legolas says, you know, he killed 42, and Gimli's like, oh, I killed 43. Blah, blah, blah. But then, it's kind of funny.
He was twitching. He's twitching because he has my ox in his cerebral cortex.
Yeah. So then in Isengard, Merry and Pippin, they're like, oh, what should we do now? And it's like, I don't know. I'm hungry, you know? And so then they find a pantry with some food and weed, exactly what they want.
Exactly what they want. We got food, we got weed.
Yeah, we're going to smoke. I mean,
what Shire? What? Who?
It's funny.
Pretty great. I mean, honestly, that's their reward. That's what they would want.
Yeah. No, for real. They like that's the only other thing that they want to do would be like to have a bar where they can sing. Like that's the only other thing. Those are like the things they do.
There's even a moment where Treebeard is like, you don't see them, you just hear them giggling inside the pantry, and Treebeard, like, there's smoke coming out, and like.
Yeah, he's like, what are they doing? Yeah.
It's almost, I was just waiting for him to look at the camera and be like,
yeah, they're smoking weed and they're like, yeah. It's kind of funny because like they're basically just two stoners. They're like Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, they're just two stoners who got mixed up and who were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right place at the right time, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah,
which is funny. So, So Faramir decides, okay, I'm going to let you guys go. And then Faramir's like, okay, so where are you guys going? And then Gollum's like, oh, we're going to take this path. And he's like, you're going to do what? It's like, dude, you know this is treacherous, right? It's like, and Frodo's like, it's the only way to go. And I think then the two of them walk off, and he says something to Gollum. Like, I forget what he says to him. Yeah, I forget exactly what Faramir says to Gollum, but basically he's like if you fuck them over, I hope you die slowly, basically.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to be able to be there to kill you, but I really hope you meet a grisly fucking end.
Yeah.
Like, if any harm comes to them.
Yeah. Because he knows, like, the path they're taking is very treacherous.
Yeah, I think he even tells Frodo, like, there's, like, an evil there. And I think at that point, Frodo's like, yeah, there's an evil there. There's an evil everywhere. Like, cool. Like, tell me something I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going into Mordor, which is, like, I mean, it's not even a place meant for human beings.
No.
So it's like, he's like, basically, I'm just going to take the least bad option possible.
Yeah, and this is my least bad option, which is still shit.
So Gollum starts plotting against them, and he's like, what should we do? Should we kill him? Should we? And then he says something like, oh, but the fat one, he's always watching. He's like, well, we'll poke his eyes out. He's like, yes. He's like, no. Here's what we'll do. We'll let her do it. We'll let her take him, and then we'll take it from him once they're dead. He's like, oh, yes, precious. That's a great idea. Follow me, hobbits. And he's got this devious look as he's leading them.
Oh, yeah. It's, like I said, he doesn't even have to kill him himself.
Yeah.
All he has to do is wait for the right moment, put him in the wrong place, and just like, oh, I'll just dig it out of her poop later. Like, that's what he's going to do. Like,
yeah. The other thing, too, is like, I mean, again, Gollum is such a iconic character. The way that he speaks, the way that he acts. And, you know, there's a lot of different ways that this character could be interpreted, and really kind of has been, but like Andy Serkis's performance is just so iconic. It's like, it's just doesn't get enough credit, I think, on some levels. Yeah, so, you know, basically that's basically the end. Also, Gandalf says, you know, the battle for Helm's Deep is over. The battle for Middle Earth is about to begin. And then you see them head off. And yeah, that's the end of the movie. So yeah, we're 2/3 of the way through this trilogy, talking about these films. Yeah, these films are great. They're really awesome. And yeah, this one, like, I feel like some people feel like this one's the least of the three, but I feel like they're all just really good. They're all just really, really good, you know.
Yeah, honestly. I think there's parts of each one that I like more than other parts of other ones, but for the most part, I don't really have a favorite, I don't think. I mean, I really like Two Towers. I love everything with Rohan. I love, like, again, like, there's so much going on, but they still managed to tell, like, a pretty clear story.
Yeah.
On top of having an extended edition that just gives you a little bit more, and it's just good. It's just good time had by all.
Yeah. Yeah, the Helm's Deep sequence is just amazing. It's just absolutely incredible. All the stuff that they do. One of the best, like, battle scenes in any film you're ever gonna see, especially like a siege. So yeah, whenever we do the next one, we'll talk about the Return of the King.
Oh yeah,
he's the final film. Yes,
the king is back in town, baby.
Yes. The final battle for Middle Earth begins. So till then, talk to you guys again, and you know, take care. May the Force be with you.
Live long and prosper.